So let's jump into a few top news stories that we have coming out over the past week. It seems like we're reporting this a few times a year, but once again, this year, the NBA's 5-game Christmas slate on ABC and ESPN drew just an average of 4.1 million viewers. That is the lowest since the NBA expanded to 5 Christmas games clear back in 2008. This year was the worst ratings they've had. The NBA ratings have experienced a steep decline since 2017, and they've been recording record lows in the finals every single year. Currently, NBA games are struggling to draw as many viewers as even low-level college football bowl games. Here's a question for you. Have you ever heard of the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl? I actually had a few people reach out to me at the podcast and ask, is that a real game or is that like a joke? Is that like a Jimmy Kimmel skit? What is that? Is that a real game? And I was like, no, it's totally a real game. Utah State beat Oregon State in that game. Well, that Jimmy Kimmel Bowl actually attracted more viewers than the NBA. I guess, interestingly, the NBA's decline began not long after ESPN and some of the NBA owners and some of the NBA people actually went on record and said they were on track to pass the NFL in popularity. That was back in 2018. Yeah, it turns out that was a tad premature. And to take it a little bit further, the NFL is actually a big reason why the NBA is falling so fast. The NFL has increased their presence on Christmas Day. They did it a few years ago. And as a result, they are crushing the NBA over the past few years. I mean, think about this year. The Green Bay Packers versus Cleveland Browns game on Christmas Day drew nearly 29 million viewers on Fox NFL. Meanwhile, the highest rated NBA game that same day, Warriors versus Suns, drew 5 million viewers on ABC. I mean, Warriors Suns tied the Colts Cardinals game on the NFL Network. That's a channel that a lot of people don't even get. Christmas Day, though, is not the only day of the year that the NFL is stealing from the NBA. Earlier this season, the NBA stopped their signature Thursday night TNT games after realizing Thursday night football is crushing them in viewership. So the NBA has now ended up moving their TNT games to Tuesday night to try to get some of those viewers back. You have to wonder, honestly, at this point, is the NBA just going to pull their Christmas Day games and just say, you know what, never mind. We can't compete with the NFL. We'll just try to avoid that. Maybe we'll do a Christmas Eve NBA thing or something, because right now they're getting crushed in the ratings. I mean, maybe they just move the Christmas Day games and try to get out of that direct competition with the NFL because it's not going well. And, honestly, maybe the NBA just shouldn't have tugged on Superman's cape because that has not gone well since they said those things back around 2018. Remember Mark Cuban saying that. But let me just throw out one word of caution for the National Football League. And don't get me wrong, I know the NFL is king. I know they can do no wrong. But I will say this. With spiking COVID cases, and so many players missing significant time for testing positive, despite the fact that the players don't even have symptoms, the NFL had better rethink that process, because if you start losing key players for a playoff game, or even, can you imagine, for the Super Bowl, fans are going to get real angry. And fans are going to stop being as devoted if you start leaving players out because of some silly protocols. The NFL does need to figure that out. Don't get me wrong, they're crushing the NBA. But they do have some things they need to figure out. Staying in the NBA, sort of, we have a landmark, game-changing story to bring to you today. After rumors of possibly being named the first female head coach in NBA history, San Antonio Spurs assistant Becky Hammon is instead finalizing a 5-year deal with the WNBA's Las Vegas Aces that will make her the league's highest paid coach. Hammon plans to finish the season with the San Antonio Spurs, and then she is going to make the move to Vegas. Hammon was a 6-time All-Star during her playing career in the WNBA. Becky Hammon is 44 years old. She has been an assistant under Spurs head coach Greg Popovich since back in 2014. She has interviewed for several head coach openings, but just hasn't gotten an offer to be the first woman to actually be the head coach of an NBA team. Hammond, of course, was a finalist for the Portland Trailblazers job, which instead went to Chauncey Billups back in June. And, I know we were all kind of hoping to see Coach Becky Hammon, a former Colorado State Ram, I might add, possibly get a shot at a head coaching job in the NBA. But, it's really tough to get that job. It's really hard to get a job. One of just 30 of those jobs on the entire planet. But I do still think this is a positive story for all the young girls out there that have dreamed of making hundreds of dollars coaching in front of tens of people in the WNBA. You remember, your dream can come true if you work hard and if you believe. And right now we have an example of that with Becky Hammon. We wish her well in the WNBA. Okay, YouTube, be sure you go out and you check out the rest of the podcast. This week on The Dose, we are actually taking a look back at the year 2021 in sports. And we're also kind of taking a look forward as to what we might expect in sports in 2022. Plus, our Daily Dose Top 5 has a few predictions for the coming year. So be sure you go over and you check out the rest of the podcast. I will leave a link here in the comments on YouTube for you. Hope you all are doing well. I will see you all next Wednesday. Have a great week, everybody.